The 10 o'clock news, this is Greg Strain.
Now, out here, it's very nearly 3.5 minutes past 10. Beswick back with you, and with you indeed until Friday. Well, I'll get a few hours off in between. For example, on this occasion, I'm with you until 2 o'clock tomorrow morning.
12 hours a day, Red Rose Radio.
Ring him if you dare.
Allan Beswick, the late night show.
And the telephone number is Preston 561,000. The lines are open now. The Joy Division and Love Will Tear Us Apart. One wonders. However, if you'd like to join us on the phone in, the lines are currently all engaged. The number is always the same, of course, Preston 561,000. And perhaps you'd like to ring it now. But if you do, you'll have to wait a while to get it answered. And our first caller this evening is Steve. How do? Hello, Steve.
Yeah? I'd like to talk about why do you try and bug everyone every time you come on? Is it an option of yours?
Well, obviously it's an option, isn't it?
Well,
Do you know what the word option means?
Yeah, well, did you take
What does the word option mean?
something you've chose?
Indeed. Well, when you say, is it an option of mine, and in the same sentence imply that that is all I do, it would seem that it isn't an option. So why question whether it is? The logic of your sentence escapes me.
Well, why do you try and bug everyone?
Generally because that's what I'm here for.
Oh, you're a stupid prat.
Yes, I know.
Well, I'd just like to say, I do.
You can't, you see. Stupid I may be, as stupid as you, nobody could be. Hello to Neil, I think it was. No, it wasn't. It was Hugh. Mint sauce. How do Bob? How do Mark?
Bradford, 5th of April at the Windsor Suite.
Mark? Have you got an O level in being a cretin? Hello to Andrew.
I'd like to talk about the danger of screen demisters.
What is the danger of screen demisters?
Right, we were driving along the other day, and it shafted or something, and it cracked the back windscreen. And it sat up in the front windscreen, could have caused a bad accident.
Perhaps that's why they don't put them, generally, in the front windscreen.
They do.
Name one car that has one in the front windscreen. Thank you. Goodbye. How do Gerard?
Hello, Alan. Well, my wife recently left me. I live on...
I don't blame her. Hello, Paul.
Red Rose through the night.
How do Jane? Not there anyway. How do line 8? Wayne.
How do you, Alan? This is Tommy.
Then why was I told your name is Wayne?
Hello, Mimi.
How do Jane?
Alan, I'd like to know why you keep calling Shake on your Sunday afternoon programme,
This
please.
is crap. How do Peter?
You're fat.
Hello, Peter.
You're fat.
Yes, I know, Peter. How do Phil?
Hello, Alan. I know why you don't sleep with your wife.
I don't know why you know anything. How do Phil? We've just done him. He was a prat. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about the dangers of oral sex.
You don't know the dangers of oral sex. You haven't even got hairs on you, Willie. Go away. Hello, Graham. Hello, Ray.
Hello, Alan. At work today, right?
What do you do for a living, Ray?
Pardon, Alan.
What do you do for a living, Ray?
I'm a supervisor.
What do you supervise, Ray?
Electronics.
Electronics, Ray.
Yes.
On a bank holiday, Ray.
Yes, it was...
You're a little liar, Ray. You're even pretending to have the accent, but it collapses when you have to answer questions. You either must rehearse or learn you're a nerd. Hello, Ian.
Hello, Alan. 3 surgeons, 1 Australian, 1 American, 1 English.
Is this the same joke that we had on Thursday evening?
Yeah, but...
Well, we don't want it then. I'll do Ian.
Hello, this is May West, and I just want
You said your name was Ian. Your name is not May West, it is Ian. I'm sorry about your sexual problem. Hello, Malcolm.
Good evening, Alan.
You'll have to speak a little louder or we won't hear you.
Good evening, Alan. Is that better?
Marginally.
I'd like to complain about people taking the ports and playing fields to let them do the...
We know what they take them for.
Yeah. I've met you a time or two, Alan.
I don't really understand the relevance of that, and nor do I want to know the relevance of it. Either get to your point or get off.
Well, I'd like to put this
Well, you have done.
to the dog owners.
Well, you have done.
Not to
You've done it. Why are you repeating yourself?
because
Well, there's no point. Bye. I'll do, on line 1, John.
How do you, Alan? My car got stolen the other day.
Yes, your car got stolen.
Car got
Is that
stolen.
all you wanted us to know?
No.
Then why did you stop?
I just...
Why?
We'll make you laugh. We'll make you smile. You know you have some fun on Red Road 301.
Hello, Simon. Goodbye, Simon. I'll do Ian.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about the state of British Telecom phones, payphones.
Well, get on with it.
I think more money should be spent on repairing them
Why?
because if they fall into bad state, people can't use them.
Obviously.
Yeah. Well, I think British
But of
Telecom-
course, if British Telecom spent the amount of money that would be required to keep every single payphone in Britain operating perfectly constantly, your telephone bill would be something like £5,000 a day.
Yeah, I think they should try and do something about.
Perhaps they should. Perhaps they should put a machine gunner on the roof of each, and then when each person tries to vandalise it, then they can just shoot him. Would that satisfy you?
No, I think.
No. Well, it seems you want them repaired merely because they're broken. You don't actually want to deter people from breaking them, it would seem.
Yeah, well, they should try and make them vandal-proof.
It is impossible to make them vandal-proof.
Oh.
It seems you've run out of ideas, Ian. Never mind, we have another Ian. Perhaps he has some other ideas. Hello?
Hello? Alan?
Yes.
Right, you know, quite often on your show you tell people not to ring because they're wasting a lot of money. Well, it's dead cheap. It only costs 8p for 3 minutes.
Indeed. And you've spent 8 pence to talk for 4 seconds.
Can we do the
so
surgeon
far.
joke?
No. I'll do Peter.
You're still fat, Alan.
Yes, I know I'm still fat. I'm hardly likely to lose weight in the last few seconds, am I? Hello, Joan. I'll do Sean.
Alan? I think that Robin Lion should be banned from sale
Why?
because they're death traps.
In sale?
Yeah, I don't
Oh, if they're death traps, the death traps all over the country. Why only ban them from sale?
No, not sale. I don't think that anyone should sell them
Why not?
because they're just death traps, aren't they?
Would you like to explain yourself?
Well, in the wind, at the start, they wabble and they blow.
So do articulated lorries weighing 40 tons. Should we ban those? So do caravans. Should we ban those? So do Pantechnicons. Should we ban those? If it's windy enough, so do Ford Sierras and Volvos and Jaguars and Rolls Royces. It seems we'll all have to bloody well walk. But then we couldn't race horses, because if it's very windy, it'll blow a horse over. Pratt, goodbye. I'll do Sean. We've just done. We'll have Dave now.
Alan, your wife.
Go to bed, Dave, as soon as you can. Your mother will be home from the pub soon. Perhaps you could play with matches and burn yourself to death. We've not had a laugh on the programme for some time. Hello, Ian.
Right, Al.
You need to tell me what you wish to speak about, or else put your phone down. Either of those will do.
I think the police should be armed.
Harmed or armed?
Armed.
What with?
With guns.
Why?
sons and people could kill them.
What do you mean they're innocent?
Assumption isn't much of a matter.
Would you like to suggest to me how having a gun will stop you dying? It didn't stop all those soldiers dying in the Falklands, nor did it stop all those soldiers, every one of which carried a gun in the Second World War. Carrying a gun doesn't keep you alive.
Gives you a better chance of keeping them alive.
Tell that to all the dead soldiers. It doesn't improve your chances of staying alive, it merely improves your chances of killing. Unfortunately, on the evidence of the last 48 hours, the last 2 years, it reduces the public's chances of staying alive as well, as the photographer shot to death or shot to pieces in the Mini will tell you, as the baby with the bullet through its head in Birmingham would tell you if it was still alive, and indeed as the woman in London when her son was being arrested would tell you. That is what happens when the best policemen, the most capable policemen, have guns. Give it to the bobby in the street, we'll all have to duck.
The 11 o'clock news, this is Greg Strange. There's been more trouble in Ulster tonight with a loyalist mob rampaging through the centre of Portadown.
I don't think we should clutter up the news with appeals about poisoned drugs for drug addicts. If they get poisoned drugs and they die, do we care?
Ring him if you dare.
Allan Beswick, the late night show.
The number, of course, is Preston 561,000. How do Phil? He is gone. How do Anne?
Oh, good evening, Alan. I don't think I'm a no, or I'm not. But the other week, you passed remarks about you didn't think cousins were allowed to marry. Can you remember?
Indeed, and we had a correction that same evening.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, only it happened to be in my family, and I knew first cousins did marry. They asked special dispensation or something, you know, and they got married.
Indeed, that is exactly the information that was given, that legally they cannot, but they have to get dispensation. So, as I said originally, Anne, first cousins cannot normally marry.
Yeah.
They have to get a special dispensation, which, of course, normal, when I say normal relationships don't require.
I understood that, you see, and I couldn't make it out because it's already been married in a registered office and then asked special dispensation. Which
Yes, that was for the church, no doubt,
Yeah.
was it?
And another...
Was it for the church?
No, I think it was the Pope, really. I don't know that.
Well, the Pope's a member of a church.
Yeah,
That may have
that's what it
escaped
is.
your notice. However, thank you for
But
telling
what I
us.
was going to tell you too, you happened to say to somebody you didn't know what a sheeny was. Do you remember that?
Sheeny?
Yeah.
Yes, and I now do know. It's a
Did you
bald-headed
know?
person. Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Our Anne worrying about whether I know the terms or not. Hello, Jeanette.
Janet.
Okay, Janet will settle for.
Right, my husband injured his ankle. So he went to one hospital and had it x-rayed, and they told him it was very severely strained. He rested it for a week, and after a week he went back to another hospital because it was really hurting bad, and it turned out his legs broke. Can we do anything about the first hospital?
What do you want to do?
Well, can we collect,
What do you want to do was the
It's
question.
neglect, isn't it?
Why is it neglect? They gave you their expert opinion. Their expert opinion was not accurate, but it may well be that the fracture didn't show up on the x-ray at the time.
Oh. So it's not worth bothering about.
I would have a word with a solicitor if you're really keen to get some money for your broken leg. If you're that parsimonious and that evil, then be my guest. It would seem you are. Hello, Simon.
Hi, Alan.
Yes, I am, Alan.
I'd like to talk about horses on the roads.
Well, go and stand on the road and ring me back. Hello, Hazel. Goodbye, Hazel. How do Will?
You may be a sharp dresser. You may be a
I'm not a
fantastic dancer.
sharp
You
dresser.
may be
I am not a
widely competent.
fantastic dancer
What
either.
happens at the end-
I'm sorry, I am none of these things, Will.
come.
Will, I wonder why you tell me this. I am none of these things.
All your friends.
Oh, it would seem that you're reciting a script. Have you done? Now then, if you wish to have a conversation with me, you converse. If you wish to come out with some puerile diatribe, then I suggest you ring somebody else. Goodbye. I'll do to nobody. We'll have a little break.
Oh, Alan, my pet person's called Tanner.
Why aren't you in bed?
Shut up.
Fine. Hello, Ian.
I'd like to talk about the sides of roads that cars drive on in different countries. Well, I think it'd be a lot more convenient if everyone drove on the right-hand side, because most people drive on the right-hand side, and when you go abroad and you take your car from this country into, like, France, it's dead hard driving on the right-hand side of the road.
It isn't hard at all.
Well...
I drove all the way to Austria without any difficulties whatsoever.
Yeah, well, can I do the surgeon joke?
No. I'll do to another Ian. They seem to come in pairs.
I'll do, Alan. I want to talk about UFOs.
Go on.
I think they come from another planet.
Well, they would have to come from somewhere, and I would suggest that if they do exist in terms of controlled vehicles, then they must come from another planet. The question is, do they exist as controlled vehicles or not?
Well, I was reading in a book the other day, and it had a...
Well, that was a question, Ian. Would you like to answer it? Do you believe they exist as controlled vehicles or not?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Then proceed with your repeated and stolen theory.
Well, I was reading a book the other day about UFOs, and it showed a picture of a UFO tilted on its side and some sort of insignia. And it said, and it kind of like had an H with a vertical line through it. And
it would seem that the people on the original planet, or the originating planet, communicate in the written word in the same way as we do. I find that extraordinary, don't you?
Well,
don't you?
Yes. Well.
So has that destroyed your belief in UFOs?
Well, they might have, like, the same alphabet as us, but...
They may well. Wouldn't that be an amazing coincidence? Perhaps they look like us.
Perhaps they do.
Perhaps I came on a UFO.
You never know.
I never know. I'd have to be on there with a woman because I'm not gay. How do Mike?
Alan, your gym jams are warm now. Have you...
Thank you. How do Chris?
Alan, can I tell you a joke?
Not really, no. Hello, Jason. How do John?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to discuss boxing. It's just one or 2 points I'd like to pick up on the way you've knocked the sport over the last week or two. I've been listening.
It is not a sport. It is acute thuggery, licensed. But do carry on.
But don't you think the boxers or the people...
If you've got something to say, say it. If you want to do a survey, get a clipboard and stand in the town centre. Do not ask me... That is a question. Do not ask questions.
Well, I think that they have the right to choose their life, their support, how they want to make a living.
Indeed, that is so. But unfortunately, they don't always have the full choice. Do you believe that if Frank Bruno had been born into the family of a millionaire, he'd have become a boxer? Do you believe if Muhammad Ali or Sonny Liston or Floyd Patterson had been born into those families of wealth, they'd have been boxers? The answer is very clearly no. Indeed, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Patterson and Frank Bruno all tell you that they become boxers because they wanted to fight their way out of poverty. So if we remove poverty, then we remove the filth that manipulates poor people into that position. They do not have a choice.
I accept your statement.
So your question, Chris, John, your suggestion that they have a choice, you actually reject. They do not have a choice.
I accept totally what you say.
Are you saying that you accept it, or are you saying that you reject it? Well, if you accept it, I am saying they do not have a choice. You cannot accept that they do not have a choice and still believe that they have a choice. Are you a bloody fool? Do you not understand the language, or have you spent too long in the ring? Then you do not accept what I say, do you?
Don't you think it's their right to choose?
John, I told you they do not have a proper choice. You say, John, you say that you accept that. Well, if you accept that, then you cannot maintain your belief that they do have a choice. The two beliefs are contradictory. Now, you may not understand that, but is it my fault that you're an uneducated buffoon?
I'm not an uneducated.
Well, will you kindly come to terms with the English language, dear fellow?
That there's people that can't get jobs and...
John, are you telling me that that means they've got a choice?
They've got a choice.
It seems then, John, that you're saying they have got a choice. So when I say, John, that they haven't got a choice and you say you agree with me, you really mean that you disagree with me. You are an uneducated buffoon. Good night, jerk. How do, Dominic?
Hello, Al. I'd just like to talk about when I was coming home from the Everton v Man United game.
We don't want to hear anything to do with that repulsive little game. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk to you about Sellafield. Because I think it's ridiculous. The government is just interested in making money out of it. They're not bothered about the safety of the people.
We are told that Sellafield's made a loss.
Made a loss?
We're told that, yes.
I can't believe that. That's probably...
Well, whether you believe it or not, we're not really bothered. The government says it's made a loss so far.
Well, why don't they close it down then?
Perhaps they don't actually want it just to make money.
What other reason can there be?
I've no idea. It was you that suggested they... It was you that suggested they only had one reason for it.
Well, I think they just want to kill the people. I don't
They just want to kill the people? Well, why don't they just gas them all? Hitler managed to do it for some years before he was found out.
Point about it.
Well, you've tried to make a point and you've said that the government are only doing it for money. Now you're saying they just want to kill the people. Are you suggesting that the government wants to kill the people around Sellafield?
It's possible.
It's possible. I'm asking you whether that is what you believe or not.
That's what I believe.
Then you're a fascist prat. I'll do to another, Paul.
Hello, Alan. What are you doing?
Speak or get off.
Alan, I'd like to talk about aeroplane disaster.
I'm sure you would. Talk amongst yourselves. You have a load of cretins with you. Speak to them. Peter will be with you after the break. Peter.
Still fat now.
Yes. How do, Mark?
Alan?
Go to bed, Mark. How do, Jerry? How do, Terry?
Yeah. Hello, Alan. Yeah, I'd like to know why it was that Samantha Fox, when she came to Liverpool, there was a big storm over her and people got injured. I don't think it's right that people should go to see a page 3 girl, you know, who goes around flashing parts of her body.
Well, Terry, human beings have the right to choose in this country. Some would say sadly, but they have the right to go and see who they like.
Yeah, but the thing is...
What do you mean, yeah, but the thing is, they chose to go and see her?
No.
What is wrong with that?
Yeah, the main
What
thing
is wrong with that?
That she's a sexist.
That's irrelevant. What is wrong with people going to see who they like?
Yeah, I think it's totally immoral.
Immoral that people go to see her?
I know, but the thing is...
You think it's immoral that people go to see her, do
the
you?
human body is so...
Well, make your mind up, Terry. You said you think it is immoral. Are you now saying it is immoral for her to display her anatomy?
Yeah.
Well, fine.
Correct.
Well, she may be. I've no idea. Never met the woman. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Alan.
Yes?
You know, I'd like to talk about advertising. You know when you go into a shop and you buy stuff in a shop, you get a bag, you have to pay for the plastic bag, and the plastic bag's got the shop's name on, and when you walk out with it, all the people can see the shop's name. If you're advertising, you're paying to advertise.
So why do you choose to buy the bag?
No, I'm just saying, like, you have to
Well,
pay.
you don't have to pay. You don't have to have the bag at all.
Well, what are you going to do, walk out with armfuls
Well,
of
you could
chocolate?
take a bag with you. Have you not thought of that?
Yeah, but if you take a bag with you, you're still advertising.
Well, not if it's not a bag. And what I used to do, I don't bother anymore, was I used to think, why should I advertise this thing? I used to turn the bag inside out. You couldn't read the advert then, but perhaps that's beyond your ingenuity.
So, what do you want me to do?
I don't want you to do anything. How do Mark? How do Mike?
I'd like to talk about the human genitals.
I'm sure you would, and when yours have dropped low enough, you'll be able to. Till then, I suggest you keep playing with it. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, this is Jeff. Now listen.
Obviously it's Jeff, otherwise you wouldn't have responded to the statement, hello, Jeff. If your name was Fred, you would have just sat there and said nothing when I said, hello, Jeff.
Well, listen.
Now, would you like to proceed, or would you like to get off?
Well, I'll proceed. In the main, I agree with everything you say, actually.
Well, this is going to be boring, isn't it?
Well, no, not in one respect.
Would you like to get to the point?
Well, what do you think about the...
I don't answer questions. I do not answer questions. I do not answer questions. Have you got something to say? No, apparently not. Hello, Ian?
Hello? I reckon in about 50 years, with the rate of increase of technology as it is, your show and other shows like it will become a video phone-in.
That is perfectly possible.
By the way, Alan, you know, it's dead easy to get through on a Monday night. This is my fourth phone call, and can I do the surgeon joke?
No, you can't, and it isn't easy. You're just being lucky. Hello, George.
Hello, Alan. I appreciate the arguments on behalf of the royal family being a tourist attraction, etc., Alan. But surely it can't be right that the government has agreed to foot the bill for the damage to Hampton Court.
Yes, it is. That isn't a royal establishment in the true sense. The royal family don't live there.
It does belong to the Queen, though, doesn't it?
Who it belongs to is irrelevant. The local authority and the national authorities make money out of Hampton Court. It is part of our heritage, and indeed it is used, as you will have discovered today if you didn't know already, as residences for, what should we call them? The widows of senior military people and diplomats and the like. So it's actually serving a public function. Why should the Queen or indeed any other private individual pay for the maintenance of a public function?
But if the ordinary householder is expected to insure his own home, Alan, if he doesn't, then it's his bad luck if it burns down.
Indeed,
so
that
why
is
should the
so.
taxpayer foot the bill for the...
The answer to that is that it is not usual for the government to insure its property. The government has, over the years, avoided insuring because, for a start, it would cost literally billions of pounds a year to insure all the government buildings and all the buildings that the government was responsible for. An awful lot of the things that happen against government buildings would not be covered by that policy. For example, arson, possibly not covered. Terrorism, almost certainly not covered. So it would be a ludicrous expense, given that insurance is the statistical spread of the cost of damage, the spread amongst a greater body. What greater body in this country is there than the government? So the cost of insuring would in fact be more than the cost of repairs to the damage over the whole of the government's property. If you take one individual building like Hampton Court, obviously if they'd have insured that, the premium would have been less than the cost of damage. But if you insured the Houses of Parliament as well, then you'd be losing money already.
Yeah, that makes sense, Alan, yeah.
Good. How do Owen?
Hello. Yeah, I want to know why do people get such kicks out of breaking into buildings which are just getting built up?
Well, I obviously do not know the answer to that, do I?
Yeah, well, I thought, well, what's your opinion on it?
Well, you may well be aware, or may not be aware, but you soon will be aware that I do not answer questions. How do Steve?
Hello, Alan. Is it possible to find out you're the father of the
That
kid?
is a question. How do Bob?
Hello, Alan. What's got 6 legs is
That
green.
also is a question, only it's a billiard table, incidentally. How do Paul or Carl? How do Carl?
Hello, Alan. I was walking home last night, and I seen this woman, and she started to quicken her pace, you know, running. Isn't it terrible the way people have to run to, you know, she thought probably I was trying to mug her or something like that. Don't you think the world's getting terrible, Alan? You know, when women have to do that.
Carl?
Yeah.
Drop dead. How do Michael?
Alan, I've got a problem. A friend of mine's on heroin. I haven't a clue what to do about it. Could you give me some advice, please, on what to do?
Tell the cops. How do Peter?
Hello, Alan. Do you remember before Feather Falls?
Yes.
Do you remember what the cowboy was called?
Wasn't it Tex something?
Yeah.
Two-gun Tex. Would you like to turn your radio off, please? Can't have a conversation when that's blaring away in the background.
It's just turning it off.
Yes, well, you better turn it off now. Right.
Tex Tucker. Do you remember it now the Indian though?
Was it Kalamaku... Your radio is back on. Was it Kalamakulia, Kalamakuya, Kalakayak? That was what he used to say, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't remember his name.
Right enough. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure. How do Hadrian?
Hello, Alan. I've got this mate who suffers from this rare disease called biphalic terata.
I shouldn't worry about it just because he's got 2 willies. How do Ian?
Hello, Alan. I think that smoking should be banned in public places.
Why?
Because people who breathe in smoke who don't smoke, it's more dangerous for them.
But the top of Helvellyn is a public place. Are you suggesting that one would be at risk from secondary smoking if one was in a party of 50, one of whom was smoking on the top of Helvellyn?
No.
So you would want your possible policy amended slightly, wouldn't you? Very good. I'll do Stephen.
I'd like to talk about Preston, Alan.
Would you?
How come?
That's a question. I thought you were going to talk about it.
Well, they win 4 matches on a row.
Oh, you mean Preston North End?
Yeah.
That's football. We don't have this on this programme. I suggest you ring the sports programme. Hello, Peter.
So fat, aren't you?
Yes. How do Bob?
Hello, Alan. You just cut me off and you're going to do it again. But
Good. How do Jack?
Hi, good evening, Alan. I'd like to discuss the conference last weekend of the Young Socialist Party in relation to shares. I don't know whether you read about it, but they had
That's right, you don't know whether I read about it, but tell us what you've got to say.
They had a conference last...
we know they had a conference. Tell us what they've got to say.
Well, briefly they said that if the Labour Party got in power, they would ask that shares should be taken from shareholders and put into a fund, and only the people that could show a real need for the profits will get the shares and the money back. And I've heard you speak in the past about your opinion on shares and the fact that you won't hold shares, and I think the argument should be balanced by saying that where would the money come from to run the country if there were no shareholders? B, there's a many number of the working class population that own shares. And C, why, if you don't agree with shares, do you work for a company that has shareholders?
The answer to the last question is perfectly straightforward. I, in fact, work for me.
You work for a company?
No, I work for me. I sell my labour to an organisation, but I do it so that I will have money.
Yes, but nevertheless, you work for a company and you work for shareholders, you work for profit.
The truth is, the company exists as a limited company, a public limited company, and yes, it has shareholders, but I don't work for them. I don't work for the managing director. I don't even work for the programme controller. I come to work for one purpose, so that Allan Beswick can have money.
Yeah, but if you don't agree in shares, Alan...
Go on.
You surely, by working for a company that has shareholders, you're, in your words, lining the pockets of shareholders.
That may or may not be the case, and in this company it clearly is the case that we help shareholders to make a profit. Just because I do not agree with a system does not mean I cannot make my living from that system.
Well, I would like you to balance the argument, because
what balance is required at the moment?
Well,
I've just given you an answer to your question.
The balance is this, that how would you relate your company if there were no shareholders? How would you run the country and the British companies if there were no shareholders? Would you just take it out of the taxpayers' money?
In the immediate future, it would be virtually impossible in this share capital structure to create all the jobs that are currently in existence as a result of shareholdings. Of course it would be impossible. I do not advocate a removal of the shareholding system overnight. But there are many jobs, many jobs that can be created without a share capital holding system. For example, and I don't advocate it as a system, but there is another system. The Soviet Union operates a system which is non-share capital. I don't approve of that system. I think that system is wrong.
Yeah, and the system's nearly bankrupt, is it not?
And this one isn't?
Which?
Britain.
No.
It isn't?
No, not at all.
My sincere apologies. All the newspapers in Britain have been lying to me. I must immediately write to the editor of the Financial Times and tell him. What you have to remember is that we borrow money every single year. Our Chancellor has made a balls of the budget consecutively now for about 15 years. I'm not talking about one chancellor, I'm talking about a series of them. Britain has got less and less wealthy each year.
I don't know which papers you've been reading, Alan, but
one of them is the Financial Times.
You're out of line there with a statement like that.
Well,
are you suggesting that the money that we are borrowing this year is about £7,000 million.
Yes.
Right?
Go on.
And when you look at the assets of this country,
Go on.
in no way, when there is absolutely billions of pounds,
assets of whom?
The assets of the British industry, British companies.
Now, when you talk about the assets of British companies, what do you mean?
I'm talking about the wealth of the
well, would you like? You're going to have to itemise it, aren't you? Because you're talking about private wealth. I'm not.
I'm not talking about private wealth. I'm talking about private wealth that's been invested into British companies and is owned.
I'm sorry, can I just put a statement to you, Jack, that you've just made and see whether you can explain it?
Yes.
You said in one sentence, this was a phrase you used, I'm not talking about private wealth, I'm talking about private wealth. You just said that. You just said that.
You're twisting my words. No,
I'm not twisting your words. You said, Jack, allow me to interrupt you yet again. You said those words in that order in the last sentence you used. You said, I am not talking about private wealth. I am talking about private wealth that is invested.
Yes.
Well, how can you justify the statement you just made? The statement was, and I repeat it, because I'd really love a justification of this, because it's magic. You said, I am not talking about private wealth. I am talking about private wealth. That was your statement.
That is invested in industry. Don't twist the words.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, don't twist
so when I said to you, you're talking about private wealth, you didn't mean to deny it. You meant to say, yes, private wealth invested in industry.
That's right.
Excellent. I don't know why you bothered to say you weren't talking about private wealth when you clearly were.
Well,
However, you obviously... I didn't twist
them. Let's get back to the argument.
Jack, would you like to tell me how I twisted your words? You actually made a statement. Are you telling me that my quotation is inaccurate?
Can we get back to the basics?
Are you telling me my quotation is inaccurate? You've accused me of twisting your words. We cannot have a conversation on the basis of us not believing one another. Now, you tell me...
You're going off it, Alan.
We will come back to it.
You're losing an argument. You're coming back... Just let me get back to what I'm saying.
Jack, will you please come to terms with the fact that I cannot lose on this programme? It is impossible.
You can just slam the phone down on me.
I cannot lose. Because at the end of this conversation, I will have earned a bit more money and you won't. Now, I'm only here for money, so I cannot lose.
I'm here to try and put a point of view across.
Right. Well, when you're putting that point of when you're putting that
giving me the opportunity,
when you're putting that point of view across, and I will give you the opportunity, providing you do not make any more self-contradictory statements, and providing you accept that I'm not twisting your words, I am only offering your words back to you for an explanation. Now, will you agree not to use contradictory statements?
Can I make the explanation?
Will you agree to not make
contradictory? I'll do my best.
You'll do your best?
Yes, I'll do.
So you cannot control whether you make statements like the one I've just quoted?
Well, can you?
Yes, I don't do it. Would you like to pull me up on one sometime?
Well, I'll listen out, but
you listen out, and when you well, it's not semantics. Semantic is the meaning of words. There is no semantical problem here. We will come back, Jack. I have assured you we will come back to the subject.
Thank you.
I do not go back on my word unless you. Well, I won't go back on my word. I will let you come back to the subject. But can we come to terms with the fact that if we're going to have a conversation, there must be some agreement as the language we're going to use. Now, I only know English.
Yeah.
So can we confine ourselves to that language?
Very good.
Right. So the word semantic is the meaning of words. So I wasn't talking semantics. I was not twisting your words. I was giving you back your words exactly as you gave them. It was a pure and 100% accurate quote. That is not a twist. That is absolute accuracy. You may proceed with your thesis.
Thank you very much. Well, coming back to what I said.
That is what I said. Get on with your thesis.
Private wealth is invested in British industry.
Right. So that does not mean it is the wealth of this country, but it is the wealth of individuals within this country who can choose to take it elsewhere.
Okay, that's semantics.
So well, it isn't semantics.
Well,
when
you made a statement that the country's bankrupt.
Now, what is the representation? I'm sorry. Can we? Well, just a minute, Jack.
Can you just get on with
No,
your
you
argument?
cannot.
Okay.
We must establish what has been said because you do not understand the language. Now, when I talk about the country, what do I talk about? Do I talk about you and me? No. The representative organisation of this country is the government, and this government has no wealth.
This government has nothing to do with the stock exchange.
Indeed, it has not.
Well, what are you talking about the government for?
I am talking. I'm sorry. I am talking about the country's wealth. This government.
Talking about the country's wealth as well, and it's
No, you're
nothing to do
not.
with the government.
You are not. You were talking about individual members of the community's wealth. That is not the country's wealth.
Well, the government does not own any money, does it? It belongs to the country.
Indeed,
Let's have it right,
it
Alan.
holds money on behalf of the country.
Of course it does. Well, what's the government got to do with the wealth of the country?
But the stock market holds money on behalf of private individuals.
That's right.
Now, that is not a representative of the wealth of the country. The country is the government.
The country is the government, but the individuals have the wealth. It is nothing at all to do with the government.
So
because
you
the government-
actually agree from the statement you've just made, and I'm prepared to be corrected, but what you just said was the country is the government and the people have the wealth, not the government.
The people have
Do you
the
agree
wealth.
with that?
Yes, I
So
do
the
agree
government does not have the wealth?
No.
So when I said the government has no wealth, in other words, 'tis
It hasn't
bankrupt.
any wealth.
So you agree that the government is bankrupt?
No, I don't agree with the
Well,
government.
what is this?
Well,
what
what's
is the
definition
ability?
of bankrupt? We're going back to semantics again, aren't we?
Okay, well, you explain what your
Can
definition
I
is.
just explain? Wait a minute, can I just balance the argument? You keep coming back to this country is bankrupt. Where have you got that statement from? I don't know. It's certainly
Fine,
not
you
appearing
obviously
in the
don't know. You don't even know what it means, but go on.
It doesn't appear...
Well, tell me, come on, you came on, because you're really getting very confused. I've been very unfair to you. You now have...
been unfair.
Yes, I have. I'm always unfair. It's my living.
Yes, well...
You're a prat, I don't know why, but never mind. Let us proceed. You wish to correct... You wish to correct the ballot. Jack, don't worry about trying to argue against me, Jack. You came on...
trying to argue,
Well,
but you
don't
keep
bother.
shouting me down, and I
Well,
don't
I'm
think
trying
you're
to
being very
explain
fair.
something to you now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back, I'm going to give you the microphone, I'm going to say, Jack, explain to me the counter-argument to the one I've put in the past.
Well, what is your argument?
I thought you knew it.
Well, your last statement that I
In the past, I said, in the past. Don't worry about individual... Jack,
bankrupt.
Jack, dearie me, Jack. You came on with a purpose. I am giving you the opportunity to achieve that purpose. You came on, your statement was, you wished to counter my earlier arguments, the arguments before you came on. Be my guest, counter them.
Thank you very much. Well, the balance that I want to bring forth is this, that the Young Socialist Party are advocating that if the Labour Party ever get into power, they will disband the shares, they will take all the money from the people that have invested, and they will only return the money to the needy. Now that, as a...
Can I just interrupt and ask a question?
Yes.
A question for everybody's sake. When you say the needy, do you mean the needy of those shareholders, or do you mean anybody in the community who is in need?
Well, that will be down to the Young Socialist Party.
Well, you have come on to actually argue against their policy.
Yes.
So I'd like you to convince me that you know what it is you're arguing against.
Well, that would have to come from the Young Socialist Party, because I
So
can't
can I
understand
take
it
from
myself.
that... Oh, I see. So I can take it that you don't actually understand the Young Socialist Party.
I don't understand the statement, and I will be pleased if there's anybody from the Young Socialist Party.
Okay. So, Jack, the opportunity... Well, just a moment, Jack, just a moment. You are actually now telling me, and do feel obliged to correct me if I'm wrong, but you now appear to be telling me that you have come on to explain the counter-argument against a policy which you do not understand.
No, I've come on to balance an argument. Put
Well, before you... Well, just
by
a moment,
the Young
Jack.
Socialist Party.
Jack,
Yes.
I asked you to explain to me what the argument put forward by the Young Socialist was, and your statement was, and I don't know why you made it really, but the statement you made was, after some questioning, that you don't understand the policy of the Young Socialist Party. You even appealed for people to come on and explain it to you. This is a fact. It is a fact. You did.
Down to semantics again.
Oh, I see. Everything come down to semantics. So Jack. Well, okay. I did ask you. I did ask you to correct, Jack. I did ask you to correct me if I was wrong.
You've gradually slid away from the argument about...
Jack, I've not slid away anything, Jack. I've given you a golden opportunity. I very rarely sit back and allow people to say whatever it is they want to say.
I haven't finished.
Well, I sat back until we needed some clarification about some information. That's all. I did it on behalf of the listeners. Now, I asked you to explain a policy that you're arguing against, and you said, well, I don't actually understand the policy. Now, how can you argue against something that you don't understand?
It is not that I don't understand.
Well, why did you say it is, then?
I didn't say that.
You did say that. Never mind that. We won't bother. You didn't say you didn't understand it. I seem to remember you saying that, but never mind. If you do understand it, then, Jack, will you kindly explain the Young Socialist policy, now that you've convinced us you do understand it, despite you saying you don't?
I'm not here to...
I know you're not here, but before we can understand what it is...
For the Young Socialist policy...
I know, I'm not asking you... Jack, I'm not asking you to agree with it. I'm asking you to explain it so that we all know what you're talking about.
Well, what I'm saying to you, Alan, is this. I cannot explain it because the Young Socialists don't put it forward.
So you're telling me then? So you're telling me then there is insufficient information?
Wait a minute.
You're telling me now that there's insufficient information for you to understand it?
There certainly is, and I'll tell you something else.
Well, I suggest, Jack, you go away and get some more information and then ring me up. What a brat. How do to Paul?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'd like to talk about Good Friday.
Well, talk about it.
Well, can you tell me why...
That is a question.
Well, I'm not religious or anything, but I don't agree with butcher shops opening on Good Friday and selling meat.
Well, what do you want them to sell?
Well, they shouldn't...
They're hardly going to start selling milk, should they?
They shouldn't open at all, really.
Why not?
Friday.
I ate meat on Good Friday. I actually purchased meat on Good Friday. Why shouldn't I, as a private individual, have the right to purchase meat on any day if I so desire?
The thing is...
Would you like to tell me why I should not have the right to purchase meat on a Good Friday or any other day I so desire?
You've got every right to purchase it.
Well, I can't purchase it if the bloody butchers are shut, can I? I'll do, Stephen.
What do you call this Galsworth University?
Liar. Go on.
Caretaker.
Caretaker, thank you very much. How do, Alan?
Yeah, Alan. I'd like to talk about grandparental access to their grandchildren.
Go on.
Is there such a law that protects them for that?
I think by your question you mean, is there legislation that provides the ability of grandparents to have access to their grandchildren?
That's right.
The answer to that question is yes, in certain circumstances. Not against the wishes of both parents, I think.
Well, I don't know what the score is here, but at the moment, well, me and my ex-wife have got joint